So, 36% of the players left Tony's body where he found it. 78% of the players were upfront about Dennis with Dennis about Tony's death. 55% of players told Dennis you believed his story, and 25% of players ran away from the ringing sound. I'm a little unusual on a couple of these things. But let's begin Chapter 2. We were standing on the thin platform of what looks like a fancy subway. The rails look well used, but not old. There are small overhead lights that are very dim, as if they are running on emergency power. The dim overhead lights are a blessing, but the size of the place makes you feel vulnerable. Staring ahead, the tunnel seems to be endless. It's almost dizzying. But there's a small light further ahead, and then a space that breaks the monotony of the tunnel's curved surface. Another platform, maybe. Dennis, what do you think of this? Looks like we're waiting for the D train, Dennis says with a deadly-sounding cackle. Also, the ringing noise is louder down here. It's much more solid now. There's some other sound. Something like the faint hum of machinery. What's your take on this, boss? You think we're safe here? Dennis asks. Not at all. This is what I think to myself, but I don't want to let Dennis see that I'm rattled. Well, he seems to be limping along much better than when we first stumbled into this place. He's still in rough shape. I'm leading him here, and I should probably make him feel confident in that. Yeah, we're gonna be fine. We're too far in to go back, I say. Besides, if we get caught for trespassing, I'm pretty sure we'd slide by. We're good. You're in pain, and we've got to find the rest of our crew. They could still be here somewhere. Dennis nods and looks reassured, albeit weak and miserable. From the looks of it, we can go either left or right. The left is slightly lit, the right, not so much. This makes me uneasy because I get the sense that one wrong turn in a place like this could have us wandering for hours. Suddenly, I jerk my head to the right as I hear the unmistakable sound of someone walking. Do you hear something? I ask Dennis, my eyes straining to see anything in the darkness. Not sure, he says. Maybe. It kind of sounded like footsteps. I wait a moment, but the sound doesn't come again. So, these are our options. To the left, flickering lights, indicating what we'll at least be able to see. There's also a hum of machinery, a sign of life. To the right is just darkness, but we also heard footsteps in that direction. Let's go where there's light. I want to see. Seems smart to stay in the light. Left it is. As we head left, the lights ahead are like a beacon in the dark, luring us forward. Someone left the lights on for us, Dennis says, trying to be funny, but creeping me out instead. I wonder if that's a good or a bad thing, I say. As we near the lights, I hear the hum of machinery grow louder, but it doesn't sound like any machine I've ever heard. As the light increases, I use it to take an inventory of Dennis and his condition. While the bleeding seems to have stopped, the amount that has soaked into his pants and shirt is beyond alarming. How much further can you walk? I ask. Can you keep going? Yes, Dennis says. Let's walk into the deep tunnel that has no business being here. Now fully stepped into the light, I notice that the sound of machinery is coming from an area to the left side that is protected by a guardrail. Wisps of bright blue light dance in the walls as they leak out from whatever is below. I also notice a posted sign that says danger, severe radiation poisoning threat. Yeah, let's not take a look at that. Dennis, I don't think we should get near whatever it is down there. Dennis studies the blue light a bit longer and then nods. He's hurting enough as it is. I don't think we need to add radiation poisoning to his list of ailments. Or mine, for that matter. We step away and take off down the tunnel again. As I start walking, I notice another structure coming into view ahead. As we head further into the tunnel, we reach another platform. There's light coming from the platform, but like the overhead lights, they are dim, red emergency lights. I start to wonder if the explosion at the lunging site caused a power outage on this place. Whatever this place is. The ringing noise that I originally thought was in my head is getting louder. I'm starting to think it's some sort of alarm. When we come to the large open area ahead in the tunnel, it further resembles a subway station. As much as I try to ignore the reality, it's undeniable. We have stumbled into some sort of high-tech transportation system that is buried beneath the forest of Kentucky. It makes absolutely no sense and creates an entirely new sort of fear as to what the hell we have walked into. I notice that Dennis seems confident, though. When we reach the large opening, we have to climb over the rails and up onto the platform. I have to help Dennis over the rails, and then up the small utility ladder that is bolted the opposite side of the travelway. When he reaches the large open area resembling a subway waiting area, he collapses on the floor and lets out a heavy breathing. "You know what?" Dennis says, exasperated. "This is ridiculous. I quit. I'm not going any further." On top about worrying about my crew and the madness of wherever we are, I'm not in the mood for Dennis to act like a baby. Come on, Dennis, you can do this. I'm not the one with the gash in my side, I think to myself, so I decide to cut him some slack. "Damn, boss, I'm sorry," he says. "It's okay," I say. "I don't know how you're still on your feet, if I'm being honest." "Stubbornness," he says with a weak laugh. "You need a minute to rest?" I ask, as warmly as I can muster. "No, if I sit down to rest, I'm afraid I might not get back up. Let's keep going while I can still go." I reach down, help him to his feet, and then we get ourselves up onto the platform. Right in front of us, there's an entrance to a long hallway, exiting the platform area. It's at this point that I realize these red emergency lights might be on for someone else who is actually supposed to be here. Let's be quiet. I'm still not sure that if I want to alert everyone to the fact that there are strangers in this secret place. At the thought of hearing a scream, even my own screams, in this empty place is too much to bear. The emergency lights continue to flicker overhead, casting a sick sort of pinkish light on everything. My mind is still racing with what sort of place this might be. It's obvious that it's meant to be a secret. And if it is supposed to be a secret, and there was a power outage recently, maybe everyone else has evacuated. This thought does nothing to make me feel any better as we walk towards the platform exit. We step inside, and it seems just as empty as every other place we've come through, weakly illuminated by more overhead emergency lights. We're standing inside the hallway. It looks surreal for a moment. The hallway reminds me of a hospital wing, but there's something not quite right about it. It's the first clean and tidy area I've seen since coming into the woods. It looks like it was recently in use, despite the dim emergency lights overhead. There are chairs against the walls, and the floor looks well cleaned, as do the walls. The ringing noise is definitely coming from here, and a small flashing red light along the ceiling seems to flash along with it. That ringing noise is an alarm, I say, if only to confirm my own thoughts. But for what? Dennis asks. And then he asks the question that has been on my mind since we fell through the hole. What the hell is this place? We exchange a look that speaks volumes. We reach the end of the hallway and hear a sound like a large metallic grinding. This is followed by a clicking noise, and then the unmistakable noise of a generator kicking on. Without warning, the facility jolts to life. The red glow of emergency lights is suddenly replaced by bright white fluorescent ones. That mechanical hum is oddly comforting. Somehow, the power being back on urges us on. It's then that I notice the ringing noise has stopped. So it had been an alarm. But for what? Just a power failure? We head down the hallway, the electric hum of lights sounding eerie overhead. Other than that, the place is dead quiet. The hall is about 100 feet long, with two main doors. One door opens into a large room that looks like a conference room with a whiteboard and papers strewn about. Across the hallway, another door looks like it's a laboratory of some sort. Dennis slumps against the wall in defeat and lets out a scary-sounding chuckle. Something funny? I ask as a dark and brooding panic starts to grip me. Dennis just keeps chuckling as he slides down to the floor. I'm just gonna sit here while you look around, he says. There's a look in his eyes that reminds me far too much of a dead animal on the side of the road. Let's check out the lab. That's exciting. Walking inside, I see small vials in glass containers held in a clear glass case. Everything is either glass or silver, and I instantly feel like I am dirtying the place up. I notice several test tubes in glass cases, as well as some sort of tube system that seems to have clear fluid trapped inside of it. In the back corner, I find a laptop on screensaver mode. At the enter key, and a plain gray background pops up. There are several icons and folders to choose from. I click on the folder labeled Test 1.5 Ethos. A few documents are filled with formulas and names I mostly don't understand. But there are some things that are easy to understand. Things that make my blood go cold. Subject number 6. Cause of death, embolism or aneurysm, or both. Ideas for new delivery mode. Spherical liquid. Induced comatose state first. TerraCore. Possible plutonium suppliers. Well, let's take a look at these here test tubes. I can't help but check out the test tubes. They're all filled with varying green and light blue fluids. One of them looks to have some sort of glowing dirt residing in the bottom of it. Another hold what looks like a grasshopper submerged in liquid, only it's the strangest grasshopper I've ever seen. At first it looks like it's expanding and contracting, like a blowfish. Then it contracts so much that it vanishes completely. As I look closer, it springs back into existence in this completely different test tube, and I'm embarrassed when I actually jump back. I take another look around the lab, trying to piece together what might have been taking place here. I smell some sort of chemical in the air, and it makes me think that somebody has used this lab recently. Outside in the hallway, I hear Dennis grunting. I head out of the room to see him still seated on the floor. But I don't get very far, because as I exit, a man comes rushing around the corner with an automatic rifle in his hand. Oh boy. It's hard to look beyond his rifle, but the man carrying it is young with messy, dark hair. His skin is so pale that I wonder if maybe he lives down here. He has the look of a guy who's been cooped up for a little too long. He doesn't seem like the kind of person I'd trust with a gun in a stressful situation. As he sees us in the hallway, he screams and brings the gun up. It's aimed directly at my head. Hands up in the air. Put my hands in the air, surprised at how natural it feels to go into this surrendered state. Maybe it's because this feels like a dream. Maybe it's because I feel like I'll snap awake if the maniac pulls the trigger. Who are you and how did you get here? The man asks harshly. Before we can answer, he continues speaking. I don't recognize you. If you're here, you would have had to sneak by the security mics in the entrance hall. What? I ask, unable to think of anything else to say. Who are you? The man asks. Did you do this? The man eyes us both, and I see something in his eyes that unsettles me. He is scared, but there is something else. We're just loggers. His eyes look distant for a minute, and then he says, bullshit. But for some reason, I'm pretty sure he knows I'm telling the truth. Someone knocked the power out, the man says. It's back on now, but if it was out long enough, well, we're in a heap of trouble. Was it you? Who sent you? Look, we don't know what you're talking about, Dennis says. Something happened out in the woods. Are you alone? Are there others with you? The armed man asks, thrusting the gun in my face. How the hell did we get in this situation, I think to myself. If we hadn't fallen into that hole, we wouldn't be here. I'm not really sure if I want to be giving this guy information. We don't know anything about him. Then again, he might have answers. We have other crew members that we can't find, I say. Your crew? He asks, seeming confused. If this man thinks that we're nuts, there's no telling what he might do. The fact that he looks a little crazy himself makes the situation even hairier. But how'd you get in here? The man asks. I point down the hall towards the subway. We came in that way, the doors weren't locked. His expression calms a bit, but I'm still very aware of the gun that is leveled less than a foot away from my face. Please put the gun down. The only way I'm putting this rifle down is after I've blown your brains out, the man says. With that, he uses the muzzle of the gun to flip my hard hat onto the floor. It's a childish move, a playground tactic at best, but it's sufficient to show me that he knows he's in control now. He then levels the rifle at Dennis, and I can only assume it's because his wounds make him appear to be the weaker of us. The man takes a shaky step forward. Dennis looks back and forth between the barrel of the gun and me, his eyes pleading for help. Hell yeah, I'm gonna step in front of that. Before I'm fully aware of what I'm doing, I step out in front of Dennis. The barrel of the rifle is nearly touching my chest now. Both Dennis and the man seem a little confused at my actions, and I do my best to swallow down my fear. I don't know what's going on here, I say, but we are here by mistake. Well, you have no business here, the man says. But now that the power is on, I think you might be too late anyway. For what? I ask. He doesn't answer me. Instead, he steps forward and actually pushes me backwards with the end of his rifle. The man then repeats the question he asked before, one that makes no sense and also makes me think he might be a little crazy. Who sent you? He asks. You assholes from the Pentagon? I'm not sure how to take this question. Is this guy joking? No, what the hell are you talking about? No, I say, we're just loggers. Something blew up and my friend got hurt. We're looking for the rest of our crew. Likely story, the man says, but I can see a flicker of recognition in his face that makes me think he might believe me. Still, his grip on the gun is as tight as ever. The look on his face makes me think he'll shoot at any moment. You both just stand still, he says. Sooner or later, someone will come along and I'll turn you over. He again thrusts the gun forward, as if it has an invisible bayonet on it. There's no need for that, I tell him. I have no guarantee that he won't pull the trigger. Look, Dennis says, we don't want any trouble. We're just as confused as you are. Then, in the moment so fast that I almost miss it, Dennis lunges forward. I have no idea how he is moving so fast. Just 30 seconds ago, I was worried about how close to death he looked. But now he's moving lightning fast, his left arm coming down on the barrel of the gun like a club. In the commotion, the man does pull the trigger. The booming noise is deafening, and there's a moment where I think I've been hit. It takes the clanging noise of the round tearing into the floor at my feet to help me realize that I have not been shot. I look to the floor and see where the shot missed my right leg by less than 3 inches. I'm paralyzed, in shock for a moment as Dennis and the man fight over the possession of the rifle. There's a fire extinguisher on the wall I could use as a bludgeon, but I might not have enough time to grab it before Dennis is overpowered. I'm just gonna punch him. Dennis has the man pinned to the floor, but isn't strong enough to keep him down. As I fall to the floor to help, the barrel of the rifle swings right in front of my face, a reminder of how close I had come to being shot. On my knees now, I deliver a hard, stiff punch to the man's face. I don't punch someone often. Never, really. I'm not usually the brawling type. Still, it's apparently effective. The man's head snaps back hard, and his grip on the gun loosens. Dennis grabs the gun and falls to the floor, clearly winded and in pain. Our attacker is immobilized, and I can feel a shift in the situation. Yet, although he is basically harmless now, I feel a need to pummel him, a desire that builds each second I look at him. Stand up, look, step back. There's no reason. He's definitely out now, no threat. Or at least that's what I think. But he surprises me by mustering up one more swift kick in my direction, connecting with my forehead. My eyelid swells to the size of a grape almost instantly. It seems like this last attack is more to spite me than to defend himself. I stumble back and ready myself for another round of blows, but he just slouches into the floor. He's done. Dennis instantly hands the rifle over to me, and I take it with a shaking hand. I can't believe you stepped between me and that gun, Dennis says. He could have killed you. I was pretty sure he wouldn't, I said, although I had known no such thing. Still, thanks, man. That was some heroic stuff. You would have done the same, right? Dennis says nothing. His eyes look to the floor. "What do we do now, boss?" Dennis asks. "We've come this far and I want answers." I see that Dennis does too. I walk over and pick up my hard hat off the floor. After placing it on my head, I turn towards the man. "We get answers from this guy." "No answers," the man says. "I don't have any." "Next time, I won't just hit you," I say, plunging the rifle towards him. "Now get up." He obeys quickly, but his legs are wobbly and he leans against the wall for support. I can feel my swollen eyelid from where he kicked me earlier. I just hope it doesn't get so bad that it affects my sight. "Okay, let's move," I say, pointing the gun further down the hall. "We've come this far. I'm not going to let this guy stop us." We walk down the hall until we come to the end. A single elevator waits for us. The steel sliding door is larger than a normal elevator. Before I get into the elevator with this guy, I think it's wise to learn a bit more about him. I can tell it's making him uncomfortable for me to have the gun. "What's your name?" I ask. "Marcus." "And you work here?" It's clear that he doesn't want to answer, because it gives us a little nod. "We're looking for the rest of our crew. Any idea where they might be?" I ask. "No," he says curtly, not bothering to elaborate. "There's got to be some useful info we can get out of this guy. I just need to know how to dig for it." "I need a first aid kit for my friend here," I say. "Where might I find one?" "Down on the 2nd floor," he says. "But we can't go down there." "What's on level 2? He looks at me like I'm an idiot. "You must be aware you're inside of a classified government facility," he says. "Makes sense, but I want to doubt it." "Well, I'm sure our government would want you to help save my friend, so take me to the first aid kit." "I can't," he says. "You don't have clearance." "Hell, I barely have clearance." Then, seemingly to himself, he mutters, "I make this place run. Not even a thank you. Just a bunch of restricted access rooms that I'm only allowed to go into with a frickin' chaperone." I interrupt his monologue. "We're going to that first aid kit." "I could lose my job," he says. I wonder for a moment what sort of trouble I could get in for hitting a government employee. This makes me glad I took it easy on him. Then again, he had come at us with a rifle. It makes me think that things could have gone terribly wrong in this place. And the explosion in the woods, or whatever the hell had happened, might be linked to it all. I need to convince him to take us to the 2nd floor, but I'm not sure if it would be more productive to threaten him or ask for sympathy. Let's ask for sympathy. "Look," I say, "it hasn't been the best day. We're just trying to find out what's going on, to find our crew, to survive. I know that this isn't a normal situation down here. Looks like all your protocols have been blown to hell. Can't you help us out?" He looks at me sternly, weighing his options. "Okay," he says. "Thank you," I say. With an untrusting stare, Marcus walks to the elevator door, approaching a small keypad by the doors. He punches in a numerical code on the keypad, and we can hear a slight mechanical hum behind the steel doors. After a few seconds of angry glances and frightened sneers from Marcus, the elevator arrives. The steel doors slide open with a whisper, revealing the interior. It's exceptionally well lit and looks to be made of stainless steel. I half expected the thing to take off at the speed of light. There's another small keypad on the front right panel by the door with the options for 3 sub-level floors. Looks like this elevator doesn't go to the surface. "So after we get a first aid kit for Dennis, how do we get out of here?" I ask. "We can't leave," Marcus says. "Once the power came back on, the whole place was put on lockdown." "What?" I shout. "Can't you override it?" "No, it's to prevent anything from getting out. I can't." Marcus looks as deflated as Dennis. "We can't get out. We're stuck here." Dennis leans into the corner and almost falls onto the floor. The struggle for a rifle took a lot out of him. I can see that much in his face. Slowly, we start to move down. The hum and grind of the car's motor fill the space. "So we stuck here forever?" Marcus scowls at me. I think it's a fair question. It doesn't seem unreasonable to assume he won't be able to get us out. We'll find somebody with the access codes, and they'll be begging me to figure out how to lift the lockdown. These people think they're so brilliant, but some of them can barely turn on their computers without help. The top coder in my class at MIT, I'm stuck living underground, helping idiots who don't even trust me with keys. How big is this place? It's a government facility of the highest security, Marcus says. A research facility. It goes 4 stories underground, and, quite frankly, it scares the piss out of me that you two got in here so easy. Why is that, I ask. This is a black ops graveyard, he replies. Even the CIA doesn't know this place exists. What's your job? I handle the IT work and make sure the databases are up and running. It's a 24/7 job. I haven't seen the sunlight in almost a year. I wonder what staying in a place like this for that long would do to someone's mind. I was recruited, he continues, because of the workload. No one else wants this job. But I don't really mind being by myself. No family. Plus the IT, it's some crazy shit. Crazy how, I ask. This place generates over 100 terabytes of data per day, he answers, getting the slightest bit excited before his face falls again. What knocked the lights out? Seems like some sort of power outage, Marcus says. That's all I know. There was an outage and then... Then what? Dennis asked weakly. Then things got weird. Things got bad. Bad how? I ask. The whole place seemed to shake when the lights went out. I was checking the monitors when it happened and everything went dark. It took no more than a minute or so before I started hearing the screams. People were being killed by something. I tried to get the security cameras going again, but they only lasted for a little bit on my backup systems. But what I saw... What? I asked, feeling a sharp fear worm its way into my guts. Well, what I saw on the screens for that little bit of time made no sense. It made me get the gun from the emergency vault. I think whatever it is, it's still down here. Hold on, I say. There's an emergency vault and a rifle in the same room as the security cameras in this place? Marcus gives me a grin that looks nearly insane. There are guns locked away in every room in this place. Just in case, you know? Just in case of what? He opens his mouth to answer. The elevator comes to a stop and the doors slide open. Marcus is out right away without a word. He makes his exit and heads directly for a glassed-in room that is filled with computer monitors and high-end equipment. Dennis and I file out behind him, trying to keep up. As we do, one very alarming question runs through my head. What the hell kind of government facility keeps loaded guns and emergency vaults in every single room? Let's see how I did this time. Alright. 39% of players have obeyed the warning sign. 64% of the players stepped in front of Dennis. Good people. 65% of players were easy on Marcus. Good. Okay. I'm going to end this episode here at the end of this chapter. See you next time.